Hey, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi here on this Wednesday morning. Lots of sunshine out there today, and it's going to stay that way for the rest of today and probably for most of the rest of the week. Though we do have kind of one fairly significant concern of which to speak about in terms of our forecast, which is the potential for some frost tomorrow morning. We saw it even in a few spots around the metro area up by southern Weld County as well as in and around Boulder. We saw some patchy bits of frost this morning. Could see a bit more of that later on tonight. Live view outside though, downtown Denver, looking at a whole lot in the way of sunshine. You can see those fall leaves starting to change in the near ground as well. And in terms of that forecast, as mentioned, the big thing to kind of watch out for, that potential for frost tomorrow morning, or another couple slight chances for frost early next week as well. But overall, big takeaway from our forecast is this very mild and dry stretch will continue for the foreseeable future. Now, yesterday we had some pretty gusty winds, still seeing some of those at times in the foothills, but this is going to be the main area to watch out for in terms of that potential for some of those gustier winds later on today. The eastern plains do have the potential for some elevated fire weather concerns out here with some gusty winds and fairly dry weather in place here on this Wednesday morning. Speaking of that dry weather, well, you look at HD Doppler radar, and there's not much in the way of any sort of action going on statewide right now. Sunshine from Julesburg all the way down into Durango, so statewide, again, lots and lots of sunshine, and that's going to stay in place for the rest of our Wednesday. Again, it's hard to find even a cloud statewide for a day today. Certainly no rain chances for anybody here across the state, and that will allow those temperatures to rebound quite nicely. In Denver this morning, we dropped down to 35. That made it our coolest morning so far this winter season, and temperatures already back up into the mid-60s, despite the fact that just 9 hours ago, we were at 35 here in Denver. So big rebound of those temperatures. Very dry air mass allows that to take place. The drier the air mass, the quicker those temperatures can recover, the more up and down those temperatures go in a drier air mass. Of course, we live in a fairly dry climate here in the mountains. A lot of 40s and 50s for us at this hour. Now, in terms of that high for today, just spectacular weather. Lots of sunshine. High in the low to mid 70s. It is just perfect weather, I would say, in just about every imaginable way for us today. Winds are on the light side, certainly much lighter than what we saw yesterday. Eastern plains could be a little gusty at times. Some gusts as you head out by Lyman, Fort Morgan, and points east of there could gust on up into the 30-35 mile an hour range. In Denver, those winds will be, and for most of the metro area, 5 to 15 miles an hour. Anything that we got in the foothills right now, those winds will gradually slacken as we head over the next few hours. We had a bit of a mountain wave this morning that is dissipating as we speak, so that'll allow those temperatures to kind of slowly ease, those wind speeds to slowly ease up. Now, forecast highs for today, a lot of 70s for us in the eastern plains, mountains 50s and 60s for the most part, except for the western slope. I mentioned that dry air mass that's in place, and I mentioned how the drier the air mass, the more those temperatures tend to go up and down, and that'll be the case for us tonight with a hard freeze possible for us. When we're talking about a hard freeze, that's what you're seeing there in pink in Alamosa, Manassas, as well as San Luis and Fort Garland there and west Levada Pass. When we're talking about a hard freeze, that means temperatures below 28 degrees. That's the threshold for a hard freeze for multiple hours. So 28 degrees for multiple hours, and that's what we're expecting for the southern part of the San Luis Valley, northern part of the San Luis Valley, a freeze warning, which means that we're expecting temperatures to drop down to between 28 to 32. That's what you're seeing in purple up by Hooper and really the sand dunes out there and on over towards Saguache and Del Norte. And that's, again, where we're looking at that potential for a freeze. Again, a hard freeze, which means growing season is going to be done tonight for us there in the southern San Luis Valley. So lows tonight, you can see Alamosa 25, hence the hard freeze warning that's in place for that part of the valley. And then further east, Denver tonight, 36. I do think we have the potential to get maybe even a bit lower than that in a few spots around the metro area. Reason being, we have lighter winds. Lighter the winds, the more the colder air mass is allowed to kind of sift down towards the surface. So we got lighter winds. you tend to see colder temperatures, and that's what we're expecting for tonight. And then Eastern Plains, a lot of us mid to upper 30s. So again, we're going to see some, we don't have any frost advisories yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see a few put up for tonight around the metro area, perhaps including parts of the immediate metro here in Denver, and certainly parts of the Eastern Plains. I would expect some frost advisories to be issued out there. Now tomorrow, temperatures upper 60s for us. Will be a high of 67. A little cooler. We do get a secondary weak front that pushes through later on today. That'll allow those temperatures to drop back into the upper 60s for tomorrow. Not a huge drop in those temperatures, but I wouldn't say quite about noticeable. Maybe I think a few of us will notice those temperatures about 5-6 degrees cooler than what we're expecting for today. Forecast highs for tomorrow into the foothills, 50s and 60s, and downtown Denver and the immediate front range. We're talking about those temperatures. In most cases, upper 60s, and maybe a few spots end up touching 70 degrees for the day tomorrow. And once we get past that, we really warm on up for Friday. It's a brief spike in those temperatures, though. We'll be in the mid to upper 70s. Those highs could approach 80 in a few parts of the metro area for your Friday. And then as we get into Saturday and Sunday, we do cool on down. And we'll have to watch for some patchy cloud cover, especially as you head south of I-70 for Sunday and Monday. We have a cutoff low that's going to spin its way through the southwestern United States. How far north it gets will determine just how much cloud cover we end up seeing here across the state, and maybe even a few showers as you get into southwestern Colorado for the San Juans for the end of this weekend and early next week. And then we'll gradually warm things back up into the upper 60s for next Tuesday and Wednesday. I want to leave you with one sort of fun fact here is that Denver has seen more than 8 times the amount of rain of both Seattle and Portland. Yes, Seattle and Portland since July the 1st. Now, a little bit of context to that. Seattle and Portland in the middle of what is just an epically dry stretch for them. So this is a commentary on how dry it has been in the Northwest. It has nothing to do with how wet it's been here. In fact, we're actually a little bit behind average here in the Denver area in terms of our rain since July the 1st. But you might notice that Seattle and Portland average actually a little less rain between July 1st and October the 11th. Reason being, this is their dry season. The problem is for both Seattle and Portland, it has been absolutely bone dry up there. They have not seen any wet weather, and that's actually led to some wildfires to spike on up in the Pacific Northwest as well as in the southern parts of Canada. And if we get northwest flow here in Colorado, that could lead to some smoke pushing its way into our region in the next few weeks. So not really expecting much in the way of smoke right now, but just something to keep in mind that there are some fires. And the reason being, I just showed you, Denver's seen more than 8 times the amount of rain than Portland and Seattle have over the last 2.5 months, which is, to me, a startling stat. But again, that's a commentary on how dry the Northwest has been, not so much of a commentary on what we've seen here in Denver and across Colorado. Meteorologist Lauren Robinson will have an update coming up for you at 9 News at noon, and then meteorologist Danielle Grant in at 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10 tonight on the 9 News family of networks. Once again, I'm meteorologist Chris Bianchi. Enjoy the beautiful sunshine out there and have a great rest of your Wednesday.